2 weeks in Kenya. A beautiful and rare experience. The vistas and famous cats of the MIII Mara. The red dust and elephants of Tsavo Park. Lone trees scattered around sprawling fields of tall grass. The big cats we came all this way just to see, only when they allowed it. It took less than an hour to be overwhelmed, mesmerized by this environment and the animals in their element. In the distance, we saw a large herd of elephants. It emerged out of nowhere. These hills and large open fields give the impression that you can see everything. But as we drove, more and more seemed to appear. Only a moment before, I thought I looked that way and saw nothing. Where did they come from? And maybe more interestingly, the next day as we drove through the same area, where did they go? All this only on the first day. Real life, uninhibited. Especially as I think back on the thousands of miles of empty fields, farms, woods I've driven through in the United States. Seeing wild zebras, giraffes, and discovering interesting new animals. What I came to see, I thought. I'm no expert on animals, despite any amount of questions answered, fun facts told, or observations I made. Perhaps the biggest highlight is how much less I know about my own humanity than I thought. Life at home is often defined by work, a grind to accomplish as many tasks for my various jobs as I can fit into any given day. One of the hardest challenges in my humanity I find is rest. I can't help but to label it as laziness. There's a consensus repeated by various guides, the laziness of lions, who rest for sometimes 20 hours a day. As I am by no means an apex predator, perhaps there's something I can try to learn from these big cats. I'm not so sure they're so lazy. By resting, they conserve energy to be more effective in the moments they are waiting for, the moment to strike on a hunt. I wonder, what does burnout look like for a lion? The idea that rest might lead to more efficient work sounds right to me, but honestly, I don't know how to fit that into my life. After all, I'm really not an apex predator. One of the more impressive parts of the trip was not in the animals, but in our guides. During our drives, it was not uncommon for us to pull off beside another group for the guides to have a quick conversation. In not 30 or 45 seconds, they were able to communicate through coded language where and what they had seen. No Google Maps here. This connection to the place and deep knowledge of it was astounding. All I can do is respect the dedication to creating a good experience while preserving it honestly. My priorities probably aren't in the right place when it comes to some of my work. Doing what needs to be done just well enough to move on to the next thing that I care more about, which is still work. Maybe I'm just in the middle of a big career change, or maybe I need to stop every now and again and figure out what I need to do the best I can. Elephants are famous for their intelligence, and I was taken aback by how clear it was when they would look at me, just as I was looking at them. An elephant remembers everything. Perhaps they're like our guides, but in a different way. What stood out the most to me was their community. One afternoon, we watched a small family go about its business. The dynamics were clear between the youngest learning to use its trunk, the teenagers off to the side, and the matriarch leading them all. Somehow, they communicate a lot with each other without long-winded miscommunications and arguments. Other groups we saw roaming the hills of Savo, drinking from a watering hole, coming, going, and leaving together. Various forms of community exist for these elephants. One thing that remains true is unity and collaboration for resources, protection, and to teach the young. For many years, I have worked in a solitary way, relying only on occasional feedback to accomplish any given task. This cultivated a professional independence I often see as a strength. But it's not always true, especially now. My work is shifting toward the exact opposite of my solitary ways, community. My new career is contingent upon working hand in hand with coworkers for the betterment and guidance of children. This has bled into my social life and all of my work, somehow making them both better, not unlike the lifestyle of an elephant. The Masai Mara, Tsavo Park, some of the most beautiful and interesting world destinations I have been lucky to visit. With the most to teach me as I return to the hustle and bustle of what I call my normal life. Really, it should tell me that I shouldn't define my humanity based on only the work I do and how I do it. In some ways, this was what I came to see, what the trip was about. But it's not what I really came to see. As we toured Lake Naivasha on a small boat, I saw wild hippos and eagles for the first time. What compelled me even more were the fishermen, the people living off the water, wading in waist-high water only a few yards away from the hippos, riding small boats, sitting on trees, ultimately trading in a bustling market. What I really came to see was humanity. While my experience in the parks felt curated, with casual stops to explain what I was seeing, the rest of Kenya I mostly saw in passing. Small towns came and went, spotted with people walking down the roads, congregating in markets, or at work in various ways. I wish we could have stopped and been immersed, even for just a few moments. Along the way, we made a few stops. A Swahili farm, tasting a new cuisine and experiencing the culture. A Maasai village to see a different, very traditional way of life. Nairobi had bustling markets, movement, traffic, what you'd expect from a major city full of identity. While I observed aspects of a place that to my world were different, the architecture, lifestyle, I wondered what some of these people might think if they viewed my home city through a car as well. Never able to stop and stare, but grasping what I could as it passed by. But the humanity I yearned to experience was there. I just couldn't help but want more of it. The crew of a dhow that took us for a day out on the Indian Ocean, cracking jokes, sharing in-depth knowledge of the area, and a comfort in the customs of their ways, casually piloting the boat with just a foot, unfazed as we rocked in choppy waters. As the water settled and there was a lower tide, we explored Wasini Island and visited a village with charismatic kids who will grow up and become fishermen, just like their fathers. The members of the Maasai village who hold so strongly to their values and semi-nomadic lifestyle and have immense pride in all they had to show us. The young men who showed us the ways of their Swahili farm, all the ways they use coconuts. The guide enthusiastic to tell us about every little detail. A Liverpool fan who loves football just like me. The guides who took us on our game drives in the Masai Mara and Tsavo Park, enthusiastic to share the beauty of their country with us. The intellect to know about various animals, how to find them, and how to get there. There's a core piece of it all. National pride. Maybe not just that, pride in themselves. Their connection to the country, the part they play in showing it to the world. Finding joy in the life you have. Finding joy in what you can put back into the world. That's the humanity I want more and more of. Kenya. 2 weeks didn't feel like enough. It was just the first layer peeled back. Someday, I hope to discover how many more there truly are.